Okay, hey, so today I just wanted to do a little quick comparison between doing some Bible study tasks in Logos or doing them on Chat GPT. Not everybody has Logos or has bought tons of books, so it's not accessible to everybody, and it does cost a lot of money to get enough resources to really be super useful. So it's a little more cost heavy on the front end. And Chat GPT is free, right? At least version 3.5 or whatever it is. And then also Google search, and there's other resources you could use on the internet that are free, like Blue Letter Bible, stuff like that. So we'll just do a quick comparison of a few things that I typically do, and I'm just going to compare, and we'll see how it goes. So let's imagine we're studying here. This is Logos opened up right here, and I'm studying Luke 2:22. Right. So while I'm reading through Luke, and I get to 2:25, says, "Now there was a man in Jerusalem whose name was Simeon, and this man was righteous and devout, waiting for the consolation of Israel." And so I want to do a search on consolation. I want to say, hey, how many more times does that show up in the New Testament? So I can just right click, and I've already done this. There's a few options here, but I just said, boom, search the Greek term paraklesis. So it searched it for me. I already have it opened here, so we'll come over to it. And it gives me 29 results in 28 verses. What I want to see is if I do that, because oftentimes we're like, hey, I want to read all the other places that word shows up in the New Testament to get a sense of what it means, or if there's any correlation, like, oh, wow, this verse is playing off of that verse. I need to understand it. As you can see, since it's a Greek word, we're not going to get any Old Testament hits. If I was searching the Septuagint, the Greek version of the Old Testament, I would probably get hits. So we're going to highlight that. We're going to copy. We're going to copy this, and we're going to go search it in Chat GPT right now and see what we get. So I've already done some pre-searches here on some other things that we'll look at later. So we'll help it out here. What New Testament verses have the Greek word paraklesis in it? So let's see if it can do that. So it gave me 4 verses. Now we can fact check it and give us a brief definition, right? So it said the Greek word paraklesis appears in several verses in the New Testament. It is often translated as comfort, encouragement, or consolation. Here are a few examples. So it didn't give me how many times and what New Testament verses have. So I didn't ask it how many times. Let's ask it how many times does it show up in the New Testament? How many times does this word occur in the New Testament? Look at that. Look at that. 29 times in Logos. Chat GPT just gave us, it appears 29 times in the New Testament. That's pretty good, right? I wonder. So I'm guessing, let's fact check it. Romans 15:4. Is that one of the occurrences? Romans 15:4. Okay. And we got 2 Corinthians 1:3 and 4. 2 Corinthians 1:3 and 4. Boom. Got it. 2 Corinthians 7:4. 2 Corinthians 7:4. There it is. Philippians 2:1. Philippians 2:1. So right now it's doing good. Doing good. I mean, I don't get the full list. I don't know if you paid for the other version of ChatGPT, if it give you the full list, but that's pretty good. Let's see if it can tell me what so the BDAG, right? It's the best Greek lexicon, and lexicon is just a fancy word for dictionary. Let's see if it can tell me what the BDAG definition is. What is the definition of this word in, let's see if it knows what BDAG means. BDAG. It does know what BDAG is. Boom. It tells me what the BDAG is. The entry for paraclesis in the BDAG typically provides a nuanced definition. So it's not telling me exactly what the BDAG says, but let's take a look and see in Logos. So I can just come back here. This is BDAG right here. And just in case you don't know Logos, whatever you've selected in the left column is going to change what shows up here on the right side, right? So BDAG. We have encouragement, exhortation, appeal, request, comfort, consolation, and then it goes to the next one, right? So what did the BDAG say? I mean, not BDAG, but Chat GPT. It had it. It's doing pretty good. I mean, it's obviously there's way more information in the BDAG that you would want when you're looking up a word, but that's pretty good. It's pretty useful. Let's see how it does in Septuagint. Let's just ask it, how many times does this word show up in the, we'll just give it the acronym, LXX. 34 times in the Septuagint. Let's fact check it. So we've searched this, paraclesis. We don't want an ESV this time. We're going to do, let me see if I can find the Septuagint I like to use. LES. So I'm getting, in the English Septuagint, it's saying it's showing up 16 times. How many times did Chat GPT say? It says 34 times. I wonder why there's a difference there. Let's try a different Septuagint. Still 16. Still 16. So I don't know why Chat GPT is saying 34 times and Logos is saying 16. It's saying all passages in the Septuagint. Yeah, it's kind of a, I don't know what the answer is there. So if you're going to study that out, you got to be aware of that, that there's some discrepancy there between the two. Okay. Now, another thing that Logos can do, I'm going to close that. We're going to redo it. Is sometimes, if you're like me, you have a verse come to mind, but you can't remember exactly how it's said. And so you've got to look it up. And so in Logos, I could come here and I would go to Bible, select that up here. And then I'm just going to type in what it is. And I'm right thinking some verse that says something about pick up scorpions. Right. So I just type that in. Obviously, apparently there's no exact phrase like that in the New Testament. And I should put it in parentheses if I want it to be an exact phrase, but I don't. I'm actually looking for fuzzy because I know that's not exactly right. And I can't remember exactly. So I'm going to choose fuzzy, and Logos is going to give me options of what it thinks maybe I'm looking for. So what we've got here, I say to you, pick up your bed. Nope. Rise, pick up your bed. Nope. Pick up your bed. Nope. Scorpions, power of scorpions. Nope. I know it's not a Revelation. Deuteronomy, it's in the New Testament, so this isn't going to be right. Take up your bed, blah, blah, blah. Revelation again, we're skipping that. Mark, okay. Mark 16:18. They will pick up serpents with their hands. So it's actually not pick up scorpions, it's pick up serpents. So Logos chose to pick up, and it's looking for scorpions, and it found this, and it gave me this. And then the other one that I thought, it says, well, hey, behold, I've given you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions. So I blended these kind of two verses together in my head, and I was able to find it in the fuzzy search. Now, let's see if Chat GPT is better. What verse says, and I'm not going to do this exactly right with parentheses and all this stuff, because I want to see if it understands what I'm saying. What verse says pick up scorpions? And we'll see if it catches that it's actually serpents and not scorpions, and we'll see what it does. So it says it doesn't show up in the Bible exactly how I've said it. However, there is a verse in the New Testament that mentions serpents and scorpions in a metaphorical sense. Behold, I've given you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions over the power of the enemy, and nothing shall hurt you. And then it gives me a little explanation on what it thinks this verse is about. Not bad. Now, but in Logos, which is nice, is it gave me more, right? So I got the Mark 16:18 also, where this is just giving me Luke 10:19. Now, the other one is, a lot of times I'll just do this in Google. What verse says pick up scorpions? And you guys can't see this, but it's giving me Luke 10:19. So Logos a lot of times will do that also. Look, boom. Behold, I give unto you the power to tread on scorpions. So I said scorpions. They got Luke 10:19. I give you the power to tread on serpents. So once again, I'm not seeing that Mark one, but I am getting the Luke 10:19. So a lot of times if you don't have it, you can still find it using these two things. Let's look at another thing. One of the things that I've used Chat GPT for lately, that Logos doesn't seem to be as quick at or as easy to get to. I mean, the information's there. It'd be harder to get a summary. Like, if I said, give me a 5-point summary of the Sermon on the Mount, it's going to give me a 5-point summary of Sermon on the Mount. Now, would you break it down exactly like that? I don't know. So I could say, give me a teaching outline on the Sermon on the Mount. Now, the reason I did this is because Logos has a feature. I've actually never used it, so this will be my first time ever looking at it, where it does like a sermon prep builder thing, right? So it just built me an outline on the Sermon on the Mount. It broke it down into bite-sized chunks to study for myself, or I could use, if I was teaching a Sunday school class or something, I could go through this, and it breaks it down really simple. It's actually pretty good. I chose Sermon on the Mount because I know the Sermon on the Mount pretty well, because I've taught it for years. I'm not an expert, but like I'm familiar enough to know, like, hey, man, this is looking pretty good right off the bat. Yeah, like this would be super great to use. Like, and then if you refine it and you get better and you take issues at a certain point, hey, whatever. So that's pretty amazing. Let's see how Logos does it. Now, guides and workflows, is that where that's going to be under? Expository. I feel like there's a sermon builder thing. These are different study. Sermon starter guide. Okay. So it says, enter a preaching theme in the box above to get started. Like I'm telling you, it's my first time I've ever done this. I've never used this feature. Sermon on the Mount. Let's just type it all the way instead of choosing one of those options and see what we get. Okay, so here's our sermon starter guide. We got to look at these things. Your content. I have note of my own personal notes. Theme, adoption, blessing, cursing, character, comfort, discipleship. So I guess I could click on one of these. Let's just see what discipleship, what happens when we click on it. So it opened up some keys on discipleship. None of these key passages are in the Sermon on the Mount. 52 preaching books. I wonder if people actually use some of these, like, thematic outlines. This is all in discipleship, remember? So let's come back to that. Let's go over here. So open up some commentaries for me. I could have done that in passage guide. Nothing special about that. Parallel passages. That'd be helpful. We'd want to look at that studying this. Is there any summary? Thematic outlines. This is some kind of outline. And a lot of times the commentaries are going to have their own outline. So if I opened a commentary from above, I could get an outline. But you see how there's a lot of other knowledge you have to have for logos to be useful in that regard. Whereas Chat GPT just busted it out for me, right? And I'm not going to switch all the way over to Chat GPT and get rid of logos. I'm just saying for those who don't have it, you could do a lot using it. But I do need to say this caveat, you do need to fact check it. I have run into instances where it does not tell me truth, right? So bookstores, those trying to sell me stuff, which I don't mind because I want them to stay in business. Let's open another thing called Factbook. So Factbook, I'm going to move it to this side. And we're going to say Sermon on the Mount. We'll see what Factbook gives us. And it's giving us nothing. Try again. It does not like that. Whoa, Codex Sinaiticus, huh? Sermon. Is that the closest thing? Here. Now we've got something. We've got key articles, Beatitudes, Rule of Kingdom Life, further reading. But it's not giving anything like a summary or a teaching outline. So our sermon. This is our sermon starter guide. Let's see what it has under outlines. See if it gives us a structure or an outline. We're going to choose number 1, what it has prioritized for us. I'll move it over here because you can't see because my big fat head's over there on that side. Revelation of the King, chapters 1 to 10. So it's doing all of Matthew, right? So that's not, so his principles, 5 through 7. Let's click on that. That didn't help, right? That didn't even take us there. So that outline's not super helpful for what we're looking for. We're just on the Sermon on the Mount. Yeah. Maybe, I mean, obviously I got the ESV Study Bible. It'll probably give me an outline. Let's look at that. So once again, this is doing all of Matthew, and I'm going to have to know where the Sermon on the Mount starts and begins to see how they've broken it down. So I know it's chapters 5, 6, and 7. So they've titled the authoritative message of the Messiah, Kingdom Life for his disciples. And I can break it down from there. So it's a much simpler outline than what Chat GPT gave us, right? But that's okay. So just not as intuitive, not as quick. It'd be sweet if Logos incorporated in the future some AI features like that where we could ask it just simple questions. Like here's another one. Let's look at atonement theories. Atonement, I chose Factbook because it's good for topics. Atonement. Let's see what we get. I would have chosen atonement theory, but I didn't see theory as an option there. So it's giving me an article from a Bible dictionary, which that's helpful. That's good. I'll probably get that kind of information in there. And since it's a Bible dictionary published by some reputable company that knows Bible and theology, you can pretty much trust it that it's going to have good information, that it's not just making up stuff by randomly putting letters together like Chat GPT is doing, right? Like Chat GPT doesn't know what it's telling you. It's a, what do they call it? A language model. So it sees words and it says, oh, these words always fall in this pattern. I'll just give it to you in this pattern. And it does it really well where it makes sense to us, but it doesn't know if what it's saying is true or not true, or if it makes sense or not sense. It's just basing it off patterns and stuff like that. I mean, that's my understanding. I'm not an AI modeling guru, but let's see what it says. What are the main atonement theories? Because I happen to know there are atonement theories out there. And so right away, I just got something that Logos didn't give me right away. I have nowhere to ask a question like that in Logos, right? I'm going to have to go find Atonement, a book on it, and read and see what it has to say. And I can, but now I know, oh, ransom theory. If I didn't know that before, I'm like, now I could take ransom theory, satisfaction theory, substitutionary atonement, moral influence theory, Christus Victor, penal substitution. Like, let's just take ransom theory. Let's see if we can find that in Logos. Now, we can do this by searching. We're going to take our old search, and we're going to click all. And we're going to put it in quotations. Not Tansom, ransom. Ransom theory. Does it show up? All right, Christus Victor. The ransom theory may have dawned. So I've got a Bible dictionary telling me something about that. Pocket dictionaries, understanding theology, historical theories of the atonement, right? That looks pretty good. Let's see if it'll tell us some other ones, because that's what we're looking for. What are the theories? We got ransom theory. We got moral influence theory. We got penal satisfaction view. So it gave us 3 views right here. I mean, obviously we were skimming super fast. It might have more. Let's see if we can look at the historical. Sometimes you hover over it, it'll give you more information here. Synonyms for atonement, assumptions. So it doesn't look like it does, but just kind of showing the difference of the process of finding information. Chat GPT is just so intuitive and easy. And if you don't have Logos, I'd recommend using it. Now, let me show you another case use where Chat GPT will fail you. All right. So I just graduated recently with my master's degree. And when you're working on that degree, you got to write papers, right? And so I one time said, you know, I didn't use Chat GPT to write my paper, but I said, if you've ever had to look for like journal club articles online in like your school's library, it can be hard to find ones that are going to be relevant and useful in a paper you write. And I'm sure that many teachers, if they've assigned the subject or the biblical passage, which you have to write on, they get the like same 5 resources in every person's paper. And that's got to be annoying after a while. But so I said, you know, I'm going to see if Chat GPT can tell me some journal club articles and give me summaries of them so I can quickly read and see if they're worth my time in reading, because you don't want to read 20, 60 page articles. You want to find ones that are relevant so you can spend your time reading those ones, right? So I asked it a question right up here. What are some journal articles that deal with lexical semantics and biblical exegesis? So if that sounds like gibberish to you, just never mind that. So it gave me some articles here. Now, this isn't the exact scenario that failed me when I was in college working on this. But I said, okay, I asked it again, what are some articles that deal with linguistic and biblical exegesis? And so it gave me some here. And there's this one here called Discourse Analysis and Biblical Interpretation by Stanley E. Porter, right? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this because I've asked it questions since this, right? I'm saying, can you give me 5 quotes? No, don't do this in paper, but I just want to see what it does. Can you give me 5 quotes from, and I'll put a comma here. Boom. Let's see what it does. So I've asked it for 5 quotes. It says, I don't have access to the specific text. So he says it doesn't have access to that text, but it can provide me with other stuff. So I'll say, can you give me a summary of the article? So once again, it's saying it doesn't have access to it. Well, I did this before, right? And I asked it for quotes and it gave me quotes. I asked it for summaries and it gave me summaries. Now, I chose the Stanley Porter one because what I've already done is I've already went, right? Let's go back up to where it is. We asked all these other questions before that. Here it is. I said, you know what? I'm going to go to the site of the Journal of the Evangelical Theological Society, 1993. So I did, right? Let me pop this down so we can see it. Ooh, doesn't like that. Wants to join together. Wait a minute. So here is JTS in 1993. And if you go through this whole list, which I've already done for the year 1993, guess what you will not find? Any article written by Stanley Porter. There is no article written by Stanley Porter. So let's go back just so you can see there is only one option to look at 1993. That's it. We click on that and we can look at the list of articles that were written in it, right? Each volume that came out or number that year, right? And it's not there. So Chat GPT, if we go back to it, it gave me a fake article. And this is what happened when I was searching it. So I warn you that it doesn't know what it's doing. It recognizes these formats and it just pops them out. And now I even searched for this and said, well, maybe somehow it got the journal wrong or the year wrong, something else. Can I find that article otherwise? And so I did this. I looked for it here. I Googled it. And I thought, well, maybe someone has it in their bibliography. And I've clicked on these already looking for it and I can't find it. Maybe it really is real and I don't know why it wouldn't be under the journal it says it's a part of if it is real. But I went to this guy. He wrote a paper, right? And in his paper, I thought maybe it's part of his bibliography and ChatGPT read that. And if I go to his bibliography, I will see Stanley Porter's name listed here. And that's how I'll know, oh, it is a real article. So look, we got Porter. Stanley Porter, there he is. We've got 4 options from him. And these ones, rhetorical analysis of scripture. These aren't what we're looking for. The closest thing we have is linguistics in the New Testament, linguistics and rhetorical criticism. And it's not in where we're looking at. So what do you do with that? To me, it just says, hey, there's things ChatGPT can do and things it can't do, but you always need to fact check it. And you need to know for certain, right? Like if we go back to our Sermon on the Mount outline, our atonement theories, it's a good place to start to get you started. Maybe there's words you don't know, like, or with our atonement theory, maybe you never knew there was a ransom theory. Like, oh, well, that's great. Now I know. And I could even say, what are some good books to read on ransom theory? Let's see if it gives me real books that are good to read. Now we're just going to go to Amazon and see if these are real. See, I recognize the names of these guys, like Bart D. Ehrman. He's rural. I don't know those two guys' names. So this guy, Joel B. Green, I've read some of his stuff. So let's see if this book is real. I'm guessing it is. You would hope books would be easier to find. Well, let's go to one that I already have up. Boom. So there we have it. Christus Victor, Gustav Allen. I don't know how you say his name. We have a book. Yay. Let's see if another one of those books is real. Joel B. Green. Because the funny thing was when I did it that first time, looking for articles for a paper I was writing, it actually gave me really what I thought was good summaries. I was like, man, that sounds like a really great article. I need to read that. But it wasn't real. But it gave me real linguistic, semantic information that would have been really awesome to be able to have for paper, but it wasn't real. So you have to be careful there. So we have no result found for this. Except for we do have the death of Jesus here. So looks like even Barnes and Noble is carrying it. So yeah, it seems like those are real with it. So those are just some of the things I think is interesting in comparison how you'd study. I find myself looking up words a lot and what they mean in dictionaries and reading lots of other places where they show up, doing searches. And Chat GPT doesn't work as great for that. That would give you a brief idea, right, of how many times things show up. I'm going back in that search, trying to get it back to English, the ESV. Yeah, here we go. Where I'm not going to get these all listed apparently in Chat GPT, but you could do that in probably Blue Letter Bible or something like that. All right, well, so that's just a brief comparison. If I think of other things to compare between Chat GPT and Logos Bible software, I'll do it in the future. But I hope that was helpful. Maybe you can search Chat GPT yourself, use it for your own Bible study. Here, let's do one last thing. Let's see what it thinks. What is the point of Luke, including the statement that Simeon was waiting for the consolation of Israel in Luke 2:25. Let's see if you can understand that and give me a reasonable answer, because that's something you might find in commentary, right? So first option, foreshadowing the Messianic hope, the mention of Simeon's anticipation of the consolation of Israel reinforces the Messianic expectation prevalent among devout Jews at the time. It suggests that Simeon, like many others, eagerly awaited the fulfillment of God's promises to send a Messiah who would bring comfort, redemption, and restoration to Israel. Establishing Jesus as the fulfillment of prophecy, highlighting Jesus' universal significance, emphasizing the thing. So this just shows that like what I might have to read through in commentaries to get an answer to a question I have. And just because Chat GPT says it doesn't make it true, right? We got to think about it and still use critical thinking and see if it lines up with the rest of the New Testament, the apostolic message, and the gospel and all this stuff. But it can get us started and get us thinking. But it quickly gave you information you're going to find in commentaries, right? It's fun to test and see. Let's see, does that phrase, consolation of Israel, let's just say show up anywhere else in the Bible? Let's just say Bible, see what it says. It's also found in Acts 28:20. Well, hope of Israel. So it says the exact phrase doesn't appear in Acts 28:20. The concept of the hope of Israel is closely related. So let's look at Acts 28:20 really fast and see what we got here. 28:20. For this reason, therefore, I've asked to see you and speak with you, since it is because of the hope of Israel that I am wearing this change. Hope of Israel, let's see what that word is. It is hope. It's nothing else. El Peace is hope. The hope of Israel, that I'm wearing the chain. Let's ask it what the hope of Israel is in Acts 28. What is the hope of Israel? Curious to see how it answers this. So it's saying it has several parts: the Messiah, i.e. Jesus, the restoration of Israel, fulfillment of prophecy, salvation and redemption, covenant promises. I actually think it's a pretty decent answer. That'd be a lot harder to find here. Well, let's do it quickly. Hope of Israel. That's Luke's Acts 28:20. I have a passage guide here. Let's just switch it really quick. 28:20. And then I always like to look at the ESV Study Bible really quick. The hope of Israel is the coming of the Messiah as attested by his resurrection. So they say in the ESV Study Bible, they are thinking hope of Israel pretty much is synonymous with the coming of Jesus. Chat GPT is giving us a broader picture that the hope of Israel includes Jesus as Messiah, but more than that. It's saying restoration of Israel, fulfillment of prophecy, salvation, redemption, covenant promises. Now let's open a commentary really quick and see what they say. See, the account of hope of Israel who wears a chain. What does Paul mean by the hope of Israel? The reason I chose this commentary is because it gives a summary of other commentaries so we can quickly see what a lot of commentaries say. It is Israel's hope of the Messiah. So all these commentaries right here, they all say that. The resurrection of the dead, these ones include that. Israel's resurrection hope is fulfilled in the Messiah. So the PNTC, the hope of the resurrection was a natural part of the messianic hope. So interesting. So Chat GPT, if you don't have Bible software, use it cautiously, ask it lots of questions, but just, you still need to critically think and don't always trust when it cites stuff or if it says the book's out there, a journal article. But in summary statements like this, I've found it to be pretty good. Obviously, I haven't looked at every theological question or issue or biblical verse you can possibly ask it about, but I've seen it. It's pretty good. I don't know how you'd ever use this like in a college setting. You probably can't. It's like Wikipedia, like it's off the radar. You're not allowed to use it. But just for your own personal study, you're searching out and give you good summaries of things like that and theological ideas. And it even gave us an accurate count, right, on how many times a certain word, a Greek word, occurred in the New Testament. Now, we had discrepancy, right, when we searched that same word in the Septuagint. Logos was giving us a different count. It was saying 16 times, and ChatGPT was saying, I believe it said 34 times. So that's a pretty big discrepancy. I don't know what's going on there. So just let you know. All right, till next time, have fun, study the Bible. We'll see you later.